I have a serious question for people with OnlyFans. Why don't you just get an air conditioner?
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy.
Wow.
A couple things happened there. The first thing is that as soon as I said that, I remembered the story Eric was just telling me off air, which was very funny. And then it was even exacerbated even more by the fact that I saw that he had taken a drink, and I may have made him take a spit take as well, but he didn't. He swallowed it down like a good boy.
Yes.
This is We Enjoy. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hi, everybody.
And this week in the main event, we are doing the Coen Brothers' Raising Arizona from 1987. I don't know that I've taken stock, Eric, but this is definitely one of my, if not like my absolute favorite Coen Brothers movie. But I don't know if it's my favorite. I have to look at the list. I think
it's mine. I think it's my most viewed because I watched it a lot as a kid. I just loved it, and I watched it a bunch of times.
So you're in the same boat as me, which is that as we go through this movie later on in the podcast, you and I saw it a lot as kids. We liked it when we saw it as kids, but also I quoted the ever-loving shit out of this movie nonstop to other people in middle school, probably the same people you were quoting it to.
Yeah.
And then even further into high school, perhaps. But this movie sort of gets drowned out in the white noise that is The Big Lebowski, which, and I'll take your slings and arrows right now. Fine folks who listen, runs cold with me. I'm not a huge Lebowski head. I don't know.
I am, yeah, and me and you are the same on that one too.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call Lebowski fans, Lebroskis, but yeah, that movie, phenomenon. I'm glad people enjoyed it as much as they do. It just didn't hit the right notes with me. But yeah,
one day, I mean, you know, we dipped our toes in Coen Town because of this Nicolas Cage thing, but we could do a few Coen movies at some point, and I'd be up for revisiting Big Lebowski because I only saw it once because it was just didn't resonate with me, and I was kind of fascinated to see the cult that's grown since. Because it's one of those movies. There are certain movies, The Fifth Element, Lebowski. There's a couple others I can think of that a lot of people I know love, and it just didn't hit me in the way it obviously hits a lot of people. So
yeah, and we can revisit that, and also the fact that there are some Coen Brothers movies in the past 2 decades, because they really had their main hit streak from like the 80s to the year 2000, and then it's been sort of uneven since then. There's been some great movies, but I haven't seen
although No Country for Old Men was like,
and True Grit was a big hit too.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen A Serious Man, which I know a lot of people love. So there's movies I've missed. But we'll talk. Obviously, I really want to talk about Raising Arizona, so we're going to speed run through a lot of this. But next week, as far as, because we're not doing a Coen Brothers-a-thon, we're doing a Nic Cage-A-Thon. This just happens to be a very particular, unique Nic Cage movie where his weird, bizarre, lovable charisma combines with the Coen Brothers' quirky brilliance and creates something quite magical. But we're going on next week to do Moonstruck, which is you can view for free on HBO Max. Well, not for free, you're paying for it, but and then rent elsewhere. But that was a good thing to enjoy in the past on this podcast, and we're going to revisit Moonstruck. Was it? I know I talked about it.
I'm 99% sure it was your good thing to enjoy.
Yeah, I really enjoy Moonstruck, and from there, here's the thing with the Cage-A-Thon. Even more so than the Kurt Russell-a-thon, which we can still revisit and do 4 or 5 totally different movies, because Kurt Russell has had such as even lengthier a career, but Nic Cage has made more movies, and I'm not accounting the avalanche of movies he's done in the past, say, decade, where he's done so many straight video on demand movies or whatnot that aren't that great, with maybe like 1 out of every 20 being pretty good. He's not on a Bruce Willis run, which is just like crap.
Right.
He's he earnestly goes for things he thinks are good, but they're just not sometimes.
Well, also it's just like I've made this comparison before, maybe even on this podcast. The big thing is you feel like Cage is trying, and no matter what the movie is, and he's doing something interesting, even if it's not always great interesting, versus Bruce Willis, who just literally will sit there because he doesn't even stand up in some of these movies.
No, he doesn't.
To just collect a paycheck, and gives no effort to actually give an acting performance that we know he's capable of.
Yeah, he uses a body double most of the time. He's in the movie for maybe at most 15 minutes max.
Like was on set for a couple days at max.
Set. Nicolas Cage is in these movies the whole time as himself, and even
giving a performance.
What was I can't remember the name of it. I reviewed it for IGN. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like the Five Nights at Freddy's like animatronic.
Right, I forget the
demon thing that he did that I thought was pretty good, where he doesn't speak the whole time.
Yeah,
it's like that's the movie Bruce Willis should get in on, because you don't have to say anything. But even within that character, Nicolas Cage is giving it his all just because he's not saying anything. That's like the quirkiness of that character. But yeah, he is such a back catalog of movies that, like, if we're picking 5 or 6 of them, we're still missing out on so many. And like, do we just jump like 4 or 5 years? Like, do we do the one he won the Oscar for? Right. Of the action movies he did, which one do we do? So you may see a Twitter poll here or there pop up, or just a tweet that says, hey, what Nic Cage movies do you want to see? Or you could listen to me ask you right now. You could just write in and say, hey, I'd like you guys to do this. Because we have a sort of a tentative set list. It's a little fluid. There's some we know we want to do, but what do you want to hear us do? All right, let's get into some entertainment news from. Sorry, also for the couple days lateness on this one, almost a few days late. Eric was away, and then we have things we do at night sometimes. Like that's when the freaks go out, as the old song says.
I asked Matt, even should we just be off for a week, but we're doing this one, but it will probably have a quick turnaround this week, because I haven't even said to you, Matt, we'll talk afterwards how I have a busy midweek, so I'd like to record earlier this week, so you might get a back-to-back.
Okay, what do I got to do? I can't do it. I got a movie tomorrow night and movie Thursday. Yeah, I mean Tuesday maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Tuesday is what I was thinking.
All right. That comes between. That's definitely between Monday and Thursday, so we can do that. All right. Eric, would you like to, before we get into this news, talk a little bit about where you were? Because you tweeted about it and you socialized it on your various accounts and so forth.
Yes, I was in Orlando, and I was at a press preview for Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. I did not get to do the full experience.
Some did. Press, I saw that some.
Some press did the full thing of staying there. I did not do that. I did a really crazy preview that my comparison I keep making is the end of Clue, when Tim Curry is running everyone back and forth from room to room, because they wanted to give us an overview of the story. And there is a story that takes place when you're there for 45 hours, where like there's an overarching story and certain big beats happen along the way, even though everything can be individualized for you and you can make little divergences and make decisions on who you're helping. There's some major things that have to happen. And so we went through that, did a crash course version of that. We did the major stuff like lightsaber training and bridge training, and a lot of the things that would happen. We had a lot of the big character interaction moments happen, and sort of, got to check it all out. We got, toured everything and saw the cabins people would stay in, and kind of got to do this look at this $5,000 for 2 nights for 2 people experience.
It's cheaper if you get a room for 4, just so you know.
Cheaper.
That's what I'm doing in 2 weeks. So
the more people you add, it does get cheaper. You could cram into those rooms 5 if you had 2 in the bed. There's 2 bunks, and then there's a fold down bed. The fold down bed is shorter, so you'd probably have to have a shorter person or child. You can cram 5 there, and also, the main thing is. So you can read my article on fandom.com where I talk a lot about it. But, when I got to the crux of the, is it worth it? Because that's the huge question. I was like, look, if it's money you feel you can afford, first of all, that's an important thing, or save that you comfortably feel like I can save. But also I was like, you have to answer yes to 2 other big questions, which is, are you a big Star Wars fan? And are you into interactive sort of theater stuff? Because it is all about participation. It is all about the fact that everyone there is acting like Star Wars is real for 2 straight days, and that everyone you encounter is in character, from the bellhops to the bartenders, and then there's the big characters, and they're going to go all in on you with this. And it's really about you doing that because you're making decisions. You're deciding who you're helping. Are you helping the First Order? Are you helping the Resistance? And I thought it was incredibly successful as far as like everything they did. What an accomplishment. The money is spent. Like you can see that as far as like the money they put into it is well spent. But if you are someone who's like, that sounds awful. Basically, you're telling me for 2 days you want me to be an improv actor. I want no part of that. This isn't going to change your mind. But I think that if you're like, hey, an interactive Star Wars hotel for 2 days, that sounds cool if they did it right. Well, they did it right. So that's my big, like, should you do this? Because I even had some friends of mine say, oh, can I just sit out everything? I was like, well, you could, but it's not worth the money if you like don't do anything, you know? Like,
you might as well just light a giant pile of money on fire like Joker.
Right. So yeah, it was fascinating. I talked to my friends who did the whole thing, and we kind of were all on the same page about that. You know, I got the incredibly exhausting 4-hour version, but they were very exhausted after 2 days. I was told, do not plan to have more Disney World after this. Like,
because I'm doing it before that.
Okay.
So I got Magic Kingdom for 2 days before
you're doing
that.
It right.
Then I'm going into then I'm going into improv.
Ending your trip with this is the right thing, because you will feel like, you know, it's busy. Like you are doing a lot. And
I'm just going to do the Michael Scott thing where I enter every scene with a gun. Everyone get down.
Have a Han Solo blaster. So yeah, it was definitely fascinating, and it was just, you know, I thought it was really fun and really well done. But I'll be curious to see. You'll be among them, Matt. Has paying customers start going beginning this week? I think March 1st. We'll start to see. I think it'll be a similar thing. Again, it's like, because I don't think many people are going to be like, I've never seen a Star Wars movie, but I'll try this.
I'll do this. Right. Exactly. It's like going on. I mean, it's maybe a little, it's like going on like the Depeche Boat or the Morris Sea or some sort of band cruise.
Right.
Or something. And like, I don't know who this, I actively hate Poison. Why am I on the Poison cruise?
But you know, to be fair, like I said, you could fucking love Star Wars and be like, I would never want to do like a you are part of the show thing. So that's
I might hate that. We'll find out.
Right, you might. You know, we'll find out.
I am looking forward to. I'm going to absolutely shit myself with my mouth wide open once I get served space food. They're also not gonna get me on the bar tab because alcoholic drinks are not incled with this.
Right, it's an all-inclusive.
But I don't drink, so it's not going to make a difference to me.
I did pay for it because there's a couple of non-alcoholic specialty drinks at the bar, and actually that's what I paid for. It's pretty good.
So what free drinks do you get then?
You get blue milk on tap.
I did try that. I did try that.
Flows like wine. I think there's like some sort of sodas and stuff like that. Like
I had blue milk at Galaxy's Edge. It was all right.
You can have,
and as long as they have, I just want to sip a ginger ale and then I'll just drink water or whatever. What do they call it? Space tears. It's fine. All right. Let's get into some news here. Nothing huge happened in our.
No. Surprisingly, since I was gone that whole time, and
like nothing major dropped. I mean, maybe the fact that we're dealing with a global war crisis right now, but also just nothing happened.
It was weird, by the way. I have to say, our like embargo being up like Friday morning and being like, so the world is like possibly ending. Like run your Star Wars story. Like, okay, I hope there's a world.
Yeah,
to go to this. You know,
hey everyone, if you're going to the Galactic Starcruiser, you have to try the Kessel Run. It is delicious martini. Yeah,
pretty much.
That's not the name of the drinks, but yeah, it could be. It's not. I've seen the menu. That's fine. Okay, Quentin Tarantino, that is, not Ralph Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino is now in talks to direct a couple episodes of the upcoming Return of Raylan Givens miniseries called Justified: City Primeval, which is an FX miniseries that headed our way, where Timothy Olyphant is reprising his role from Justified as U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens. Tarantino recently worked with Olyphant on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where I can't remember the actor's name Olyphant is actually playing in that movie, but he's got a scene in the TV series, the Western TV series that Leonardo DiCaprio's character is doing a guest stint as a villain on. I have to say, like comic book shit dominates all aspects of pop culture right now, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood Just a mere 50 years ago, everything was fucking westerns. There was so much westerns.
So much westerns.
Yeah. It's like those were their superheroes. Not that there weren't comics at the time, but they just hadn't taken off like onto the screen on TV
and even more than superhero stuff because it was a lot cheaper, obviously. Like relatively, the relative amount of money you were spending because there was so many western sets and they just shot over and over on them. And some of them were high quality with good scripts, and some of them were crap, but they just way more quantity because as much as people were like, oh my god, it's all superhero movies, it's probably like 8 superhero movies a year versus like westerns where it seems like it was like 50. That's probably an exaggeration, but there was a lot.
So you and I aligned, and I wasn't sure on your take of Big Lebowski, unless I maybe subconsciously was. Maybe we talked about it in the past 20 years, probably. But do we line up on this as well? I wasn't excited when it was a thing that Tarantino was going to do a Star Trek movie. I was not excited about an R-rated Tarantino Star Trek movie. I was
curious. I was neither against it nor like home run. I was like, how will this very odd pairing work?
I just didn't like the merging of those worlds. I didn't mean it wouldn't be great, you know, if done a certain way. I wasn't pre-excited about it. This could work out though. I remember back in the day what a hoopla was, what a happening it was when he did ER.
Yes, and then he did CSI 7 years later. So that's the thing, is some people might not even remember this, that he has directed episodes of, and these were two of like the biggest shows on TV that he did, with ER in 95 and then this 2-part CSI in 2005. The only time I watched CSI was to see that.
But obviously,
which had the character Buried Alive, which was funny because, of course, Kill Bill had come out a couple years before with a Buried Alive thing for the lead of that. But this is his first time since 2005 that if he does this, he'll be directing like a episode or 2, it seems possible, of television.
No surprise to anyone, Tarantino is a huge Elmore Leonard fan, which is where the character of Raylan Givens comes from, and the series Justified comes from a short story, and Raylan Givens sort of populates the Elmore Leonard connectiverse of his books, and Tarantino adapted Rum Punch into Jackie Brown.
Only movie of his that is adapted from someone else's work, notably.
And he, I think one of the movies mentions Mr. Majestic, which was a Charles Bronson movie based on an Elmore Leonard book. I can't remember. Was it True Romance? That script? I can't remember. Anyway, but yeah, he loves Elmore Leonard. So that's the other draw besides the elephant of it all.
I mean, this is a natural pairing. As you said, he's a huge fan of Elmore Leonard. He's directed a very well-regarded Elmore Leonard adaptation before. He's worked with Oliphant before. So a lot of these things, even though it was a surprise on one hand, because it sounds like he'll be like doing the first episode, maybe the first 2. So it's just like, oh, wow. It's like, Justified is already an established brand. So it's not like directing a TV pilot, but it's still interesting if he'll direct like, a couple episodes of this miniseries. We'll see. It's funny because I joked, but not really, to Seppenwall about how it's like, can we get Michael Keaton back as Ray Nicolette? Because again, something that some people might not be aware of was like the very interesting and unusual mini Elmore Leonard verse they created when Out of Sight and Jackie Brown both used Michael Keaton as the same Elmore Leonard character, Ray Nicolette. And these movies are made by different studios, but it was just like a little bit of a like, hey, why not? This character is in both these stories. And I don't remember who cast him first, Soderbergh or Tarantino, but they just used him in both. So I was like,
and we would have talked about that if, we still can, because I still want to do a Jennifer Lopez marathon.
I'm totally down for the list of movies we talked about. It sounds great. So I'm down for that for sure.
A J-Lo marathon on the heels of Marry Me, which I enjoyed, will definitely obviously include Out of Sight.
Yeah.
So next up in entertainment news is the casting doesn't make me angry. The project makes me angry. I just don't like the Sony-verse villain movies. I don't like the Venoms and the Morbiuses existing on their own as like heroes. It's just,
I know it bugs you a lot.
It also bugs me that I don't like the movies, and that the Venom movies, I'm not saying at the box office, I'm saying in quality have just gotten worse as they've gone along. And Morbius isn't exciting to me. Nothing about that is a draw. I mean, I'm not, Morbius like is a mid-card villain, if that. And yeah, I don't know. And I'm going to begrudgingly see it because fucking Michael Keaton's in it as Ray Nicolette, apparently. So
as Ray Nicolette, that's the movie he's back as Ray Nicolette.
I would be more excited if he was Ray Nicolette than if he was Adrian Toomes in that movie.
So it'd be pretty amazing.
Anyway, we're talking about the Kraven the Hunter movie, which is a solo film that'll just turn Kraven into a good guy. He's like, oh, Colossus like Rain. But the character of Chameleon, who is in the comics Kraven's half brother, has been cast. Is playing by, I don't know if I'll get the last name pronunciation right, Fred Hetchinger, who was on White Lotus, which I should watch at some point all the way through.
Should.
I did not like. I liked him. He was fine. I did not like Netflix's The Woman in the Window. I did not see News of the World, but I did like Fear Street. So there you go.
Okay, yeah, I like Fear Street, and I loved White Lotus.
I haven't seen any of Pam and Tommy. I've heard good things, especially about the full schlong of it all. Just like the in your face Wang,
the Manzukis voiced,
talking dick,
Tommy Schlong, yeah.
All right.
So him playing this,
he's playing Chameleon. Yeah,
he's the Chameleon, who's notable in the comics because he was the first, pseudo supervillain Spider-Man fought in Amazing Spider-Man #1. Because in his first appearance, it was just the guy who killed Uncle Ben in Amazing Fantasy 15. He's very young looking, and he's in mid-20s, and some people mid-20s can read older. He reads very young, so it sounds like we're gonna probably get little Chameleon as far as like
we get little everyone. It doesn't.
We get little everyone. I'm very, again, we've talked about this, and I know it's frustrating you more than it is me. I'm just like, about the Morbius of it all, as far as like what even universe is this? Why is it merging together so much? Especially after Spider-Man No Way Home much more clearly established like delineations of these other universes, including Venom. But how the hell is Adrian Toomes?
And how is Spider-Man exist? Because he's on the graffiti on the wall.
Right.
And I just don't want their shitty movies painting the pool of good movies.
But
it's like, we want money too, and then they get it.
All we can hope is it's good. KRAVEN the Hunter is a great character. It was fascinating to hear, well, it's basically to confirm what we kind of suspected, which is that KRAVEN could have been the villain in I don't even want to say Spider-Man No Way Home. If Sony and Marvel Studios had not worked out a new deal when it looked like it had completely collapsed, the version they were going to make that wasn't a multiverse Doctor Strange MCU of it all was going to be his identity is revealed. They say he's a murderer. KRAVEN the Hunter is after him, which is what a lot of us guessed coming out of Far From Home.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how do you, he's being hunted? Who do you introduce? KRAVEN the Hunter. Now, of course, they didn't do that movie. They did a great movie, but they didn't do this other version that could have been great in its own very much.
And now they never can.
Because now they never can.
That's what I'm upset about
the
most. Not that this movie exists, but that its existence negates other things, and it makes me upset. Okay,
there are possibilities.
All right, and Aaron Taylor Johnson is KRAVEN. Also, young KRAVEN there too, a little bit. Who knows? I think he's young. But then again, when I was a kid and I looked at anyone in a comic book, they were like at least 50.
Right. Well, 90% of them had mustaches for one. So
yeah. All right.
Like our boy KRAVEN.
All right. I feel like maybe a few people wrote in some messages this week, but I didn't get to them. But we're gonna have such a quick turnaround, like we said, that they'll hold. Let's get into our good things to enjoy. Once again, next week's main event, your assignment is Moonstruck, which is a nice Academy Award-winning rom-com starring Cher and Olympia Dukakis and
Danny Aiello.
Okay. And John Mahoney. And
all true.
Name everyone. What's the guy? What's his name from Little Shop? Fuck, Mr. Mushnick. What's his name?
Vincent Gardenia.
Yeah, he's in it. Okay.
Mr. Mushnick.
Him too. Okay, Eric, what is your good thing to enjoy this week? What can you recommend for our listeners?
When I dabbled with recommending or coming out of the holidays, because that's all I watched it over the holidays again. But just look, comedy is subjective. Everything's subjective, but comedy, of course, like what tickles your funny bone can be different for everyone. But a movie that I'm still baffled by how much it was trashed when it came out both critically and by everyone agreed on this one, it seemed, because they got terrible reviews, got terrible audience scores, but I thought it was really funny when it came out.
You know what else did? A little movie called Euro Trip, and that movie's fucking great. So
MacGruber, there's a bunch of like very funny comedies that got totally trashed when they came out. This is on that list for me, which is Vacation 2015. I guess the 5th Vacation movie, or 6 if you count the Christmas Vacation 2 TV movie that they made with
and this was actually not a reboot, it was a requel.
This was a requel. Yes. This was the full requel route. And again, it's recent enough that you probably remember its existence, even if you didn't see it, and many did not see it because it was a bomb, where Ed Helms played Rusty in this movie, shifting the focus to Rusty Griswold and his family, trying to recapture the funny remembers he thinks he had with his family on a vacation, and hijinks ensue.
I do like the idea that Rusty grew up thinking they had great times.
Right, which is in the movie. Audrey says to him, "How the hell do you remember that as like being a good time?" He is. Have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Oh, yeah, he gets called out by Audrey in this movie for the rose-colored glasses that he has put on his childhood. It's a requel in all the senses they do requels, which is let's do the first movie again. Let's go to Wally World. So they
that's
cross country of him being like, hey, that was had a great time at Wally World. I'll take them there. Going into more description isn't really worth it. Funny things happen. They go along and hijinks happen. I think they're very funny things. There's a ton of cameos or supporting roles. I mean, I just mentioned Audrey, which is Leslie Mann plays Audrey when they stop at her place, and her boyfriend or husband is played by Chris Hemsworth. In one of his, like, Chris Hemsworth does a funny extended cameo a la Ghostbusters bits. There's a million people who popping up. There's 2 different Always Sunny cast members show up at various points in this movie. Why am I blanking on his name from Office Space and Swingers? Ron Livingston has a small role, and Keegan-Michael Key and Norman Reedus. A million funny people show up in this movie. I think it's a really fucking funny movie. And the only thing I remember specifically getting knocked about it when it came out, as far as like the spirit of Vacation, is it's rated R, and it's a very like there's plenty of like gross out humor in it, and some people are like, that's not the spirit of Vacation, which I say bullshit. It can be anything. First of all, the first movie was rated R, then they went for a PG-13 on the sequels. Second of all, the first movie did have Clark Griswold eat a dog piss soaked sandwich at one point. So the setup was there to go beyond dog piss sandwiches into grosser stuff, but also it's a requel. You have to change it up, and this one went into more gross out humor, but I thought it was really funny gross out humor. And also, I guess the last thing I'll mention on this movie is that it was written and directed by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, the duo who went to great success after this with Game Night. Had like the opposite of this as far as critical acclaim, box office success.
And John Francis Daly, you would know from the single season of Freaks and Geeks, yes,
and many seasons of Bones, an actual hit show. And then they wrote drafts of Spider-Man: Homecoming together, and then they have the new Dungeons and Dragons movie coming out they made. But this was their first movie. And I don't know why it was received the way it was. Again, it won't be for everyone. But
so in the wake of American Pie, and this includes obviously the American Pie sequels, and this extends to every big body comedy that came out after that. Obviously, there was a lot of sex comedies after that, but then you also had the Hangover films. Everything's getting, the boundaries just keep getting pushed as far as gross out humor. Do you think Vacation is sort of symptomatic of that? It was like, it's still the lingering, like the movie has to have that big moment that everyone wants to barf or whatever, like I remember when The Rock was promoting the Baywatch movie, and he's like, yes, there is this scene, like the big scene in the movie, like that everyone's going to be talking about because it's so, it'll make you cringe.
I think because I guess I want to say I'm probably overstating it, because I don't want people to think that's the only thing the movie is. There are so many big funny sequences or comedic sequences, whether you find them funny or not around gross out stuff, just funny things happening, like their car that they can't figure out the instructions to, and this and that. There's just a couple scenes that are definitely the like, I hope you're not eating when you're watching them moments. I think that they just were like, we are going for that hard R comedy, and that will include a couple of gross out scenes, you know?
Yeah, I just don't think the movies do that anymore. I'm trying to think of like the movie that Cena just did for Hulu.
Right.
Like Vacation Friends or something.
Vacation
like
Friends. Yeah.
I think it's toned down a bit. I think everything's still calm because Game Night didn't really have that, and that's why I think it was. I'm not saying it was good because of that, but
no, and I think you're right, because things can change so quick, and this movie is now 7 years old, and there's both the gross out thing, but there's even a couple of like dark comedy jokes that we've already been like, oh, that might be going too far now. You know, it's like, and these things have ebbs and flows. They always do. So there was a couple moments, because I showed it to the much mentioned on this podcast, Brent Simons and his wife, Benita. We showed it to them over the holidays. They both really liked it. But there were a couple moments where like, oh, I don't know if they would do that today. But it was just funny about a movie that's not that old, but that's just how it goes. But I thought it was really funny. The only thing that I'm like a little on in it is when they inevitably bring Chevy Chase in for a cameo, and it's modern day Chevy Chase feeling like he's doing the try too hard Chevy Chase. But you know, it's not too long. It's not too much of the movie, and you understand that they kind of had to do it. Like, you know, they had to have Clark and Ellen show up, and they do briefly. But I really like it, and and Trish and I, by the way, it's like she and I don't always agree on comedy. We laughed together, Matt. So that's my recommendation.
What more could you want from a couple? Just laughter, laughter together.
It's not currently on a streaming service. It was on HBO Max last year. I just checked. It is not currently. You can rent it wherever you would rent movies on digital.
No, I've heard you recommend that quite a bit, so I do want to check it out at some point, because I also like to laugh. Right now I'm trying not to laugh, or at least with my eyes chasing my cat around the room, who's going nuts right now.
My cat is very funny too. That Luna is doing the same. It might be hit or miss for you, but there's a couple parts I'd be shocked if you didn't laugh at. So I'm gonna laugh at the movie, Eric. It's a funny movie. And also, if I laugh at more than like 3 things in a movie, I like it. Oh, and I'm a liar that I was done. I will say that on the casting, I should mention, I only mentioned Ed Helms. Well, Christine Applegate plays his wife. She's really funny, and she gets way more to do than Beverly D'Angelo ever did, who had to be very Clark. Like, they give Christine Applegate gets like comedy bits way more. And then the kids are Scarlett Gisondo and Steele Stebbins, which is a funny alliteration name, are the kids. They're both really funny. And Scarlett Gisondo, if you don't know his name, you would recognize him because he was in Booksmart, and he's currently in Licorice Pizza, and he is always very funny when he pops up at things. Now you.
I'm going to recommend something that's not funny. It's quirky. It's unique. It's got silly bits in it. It's more ghoulish and sort of nightmarish. It's called Severance. It's a new Apple TV Plus series that started a couple weeks ago. I have not finished the season. I am 7 episodes in out of 9 episodes that I am watching on screeners. So far on Apple TV, they've only aired 3. So I'm ahead of what's aired, but I still haven't finished it. I enjoyed it a lot. So Severance stars Adam Scott and let's see. Oh, and Patricia Arquette, Christopher Walken, John Turturro, Dejan Lochman, and Zach Cherry. And it's comes from Ben Stiller, who directs 6 of the 9 episodes. And this is coming off of Ben Stiller's sort of acclaimed, was it for Showtime miniseries?
The other one he did with Patricia Arquette.
Yeah, so this is like him reuniting with Patricia Arquette again. Escape from Dannemora, I want to say. I don't remember what the exact name of it. But it was a remake that he did of an old movie that is now, he turned into a miniseries for Showtime that got a lot of acclaim, and now he's back for Apple TV with a sort of a surreal take on a workplace series in which the employees of this mysterious corporation called Lumen agree to voluntarily allow their brains to be modified with a chip that separates their work memories from their outside of work life memories. So when they are inside work, they don't remember who they are or what their deal is when they leave the office, and vice versa. When they're at home, They don't know what they're working on. They don't know who they know at work. They don't know anything that's going on. And it's an interesting sort of philosophical show that's also a touch nightmarish. It's very Black Mirror-y in the sense that, like, hey, as soon as you get in the elevator, your brain flips and you're a different person because you're yourself on the outside. So all you ever see is the outside. Well, the version of you that's inside that office only ever sees the inside. And every time they open their eyes, all they're doing is entering the office through the elevator, entering, right? Because that's all they know. So it reminded me a little bit of the Black Mirror White Christmas episode, which was like 3 different stories, and it had John Hamm was part of it, and one of it was like you could create a little mini version of yourself as sort of an AI smart house helper, but that version of yourself that you feel detached from is an actual clone of you, and they're sort of in a prison, and that's sort of like what's explored here as well. Also, so there's a mystery what's going on with the company, and Adam Scott is sort of our lead here as somebody who volunteered for this because he couldn't deal with the death of his wife and he needed to basically shut his brain off for 8 hours of the day. But it all brings up like a lot of different sort of moral quandaries and dilemmas, and it's really interesting, and I'm digging it. And it's also very there's a Brazil, Terry Gilliam Brazil element to it as well, that we just sort of experienced a touch of with the Loki series.
Right.
It's sort of a minimalist office environment. There's a maze. They keep departments separated. Christopher Walken plays like a guy from a different department that they're not supposed to meet, and everything's very mysterious. And so anyway, I dig it. This is my first time recommending the Apple TV Plus series. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jordan.
That's your deal. I know it's gimmick
deal.
infringement. Yeah.
I have not seen any of this yet, but I like all these people, and I've heard many people saying a lot of good stuff about it recently. And I was there for the TCA panel virtually, and I liked everything they were saying about it. So yeah, this is on my list
because it's a mystery on top of it. Right. So it's like you've got these different characters who are each responding to their procedure very differently. Britt Lower plays a new girl who is violently, within minutes of being there, wants to quit and finds out that she can't, and basically has to submit a resignation request to her outside self. Right. And like, will that be accepted or denied? And if it's denied, that basically your outside self is keeping this person prisoner. Right. So it's as Shelley Goldman, who happy birthday, just celebrated a mighty fine birthday, would say it's interesting.
I'll tell him. I'll tell him this is right up your alley, Shelley.
But yeah, I don't even, because I'm watching screeners, I don't know when Apple TV episodes air. Fridays?
They do they officially Friday, but it really is Thursday night thing that happens a lot with the streamers now.
So basically 3 episodes, because they released 2 at once, and then the 3rd episode aired 2 days ago, and so the 4th will be on March 4th. Okay, so there you go. I recommend Severance. All right, let's get into some Raising Arizona.
Which I'm going to definitely need you to lead this time on, because I watched this movie on my flight going to Orlando, watching it on my laptop. I couldn't take notes at the same time. Of course, I've seen it many times, but as far as like the specifics of it, I'm going to try to.
This is another one that we can go through. We'll see how it all works out. We'll see what the conversation.
It's one of the more, it's not like 100% like joke comedy. But it's, obviously.
I kind of think it is. Well, one of the things that never quite, The Big Lebowski felt a little formless. It felt a little too stream of consciousness. It felt like that. And honestly, I wasn't too crazy about No Country for Old Men either. I'm just saying that I really love some Coen Brothers movies, and then others I'm like, okay, they did a thing. I'm glad they did the thing. But so this movie felt to me like a really tight 3-act story with like entertaining elements that paid off and jokes that returned at the end. It felt bookended. It felt compact. It's a tight 90. Whereas like The Big Lebowski for me just felt, like I said, formless and sort of trailing off into nothing. But then again, they can do movies like that can hit you with like a weird, third act swerve.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy Barton Fink a lot. So, but interesting to note that this movie was made on a very small budget for the time. So this movie was made for $5 million. And because the Coens wanted to get as much as they could with that budget, they meticulously storyboarded this whole thing out. So I think that lends itself to the sort of comic book feeling to it, is that everything is really tightly choreographed and structured, including the story itself. I don't know. I think the presentation is just wonderful. I read a note here on Wikipedia that there was turbulence between Nicolas Cage and them because he wanted to try things. And I don't know if this is the way the Coen Brothers are on every movie, but on this movie, I think because they had to pull the reins in so much, they were like, no, just do it the way we want, because they're there to get the shot and to have people say the lines the way they want to say them, because they're building this thing that really quickly and on not much money. So
it's also worth noting this is an interesting movie for sort of all the major players, because they're all about to like really break out. Like this was a huge year for both Holly Hunter and Nicolas Cage, because this opened first, but then Holly Hunter had Broadcast News, and for Nicolas Cage this opened first, and then he had Moonstruck. So it's like, and he had been in Peggy Sue Got Married and Valley Girl, but he wasn't like a, you can sell a movie on his name yet person. And then the Coen Brothers, it's only their second
So this
movie.
and they're coming off of Blood Simple, which is a completely different movie from this.
Such a darker, yeah.
And it is interesting.
This movie, like this movie will really cements for people what the Coen Brothers can be, because while they will do straight dramas again, and they'll do very dark things again, a lot of like the quirky comedy we also associate with them. This is the movie that was their calling card, because Blood Simple didn't contain that stuff. And so it was a much more like, it had a quirk to it, but it was sort of much more straightforward and sort of dark noir feel. So they, after this, they would go back and forth. They do comedies, they do dramas, then they do something like Fargo, which I think is kind of like the perfect melding of all that. But Raising Arizona was the movie that's like, oh, these guys can be really out there and funny, and kind of let people understand that that's part of their arsenal, is the stuff that they do in this movie.
I'm going to credit this movie also with bringing to the screen, they're not the first, but sort of the poetic, elevated idiot, which now we're all very, I don't know, I can't speak for our listeners. I assume everyone who listens to us is 12, Eric. I have no gauge of age anymore. So no, even when you're like, age. Hey, when you were like referencing Tim Curry running around at the end of Clue at the end, I'm like, who gets that? Like, right. Who listening is understanding the Tim Curry and Clue reference? But
it's a valid point. Yes.
But I don't honestly, I don't care. It's just for us. So, but Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Spicoli, famous character by Sean Penn. The surfer dude character existed. Now, what did Bill and Ted and then subsequently Wayne's World do with that dude character? I always think it's fascinating the way that they had Bill and Ted speak, and then even more so what Mike Myers did with Wayne is like this eloquent, almost Renaissance. It's like if a metalhead dude was in a Britcom, right? Like the way they speak, like when Wayne says like, I don't own a gun, much less many guns that would necessitate a rack. Like that is something you can imagine a guy in a British sitcom saying, not supposedly an idiot.
Yes.
Which is what we assume the dude character is. So here I find that again with H.I. McDonough, in the sense that like he's supposed to be like this bumbling armed robber redneck, but he speaks so beautifully and eloquently, and he narrates this too very well. Sometimes narrations work, sometimes they don't. Here it really works. Like we just came off of a movie. We're literally coming off of a movie where the narration sucked, because it was David Duchovny for California.
Yes.
And here we get some great work by Nicolas Cage narrating this dreamy storybook movie. This is a beautiful movie. This movie makes me cry, even though it is absolutely surreally hilarious. It also, this movie contains I think the most screaming of any movie I've ever seen, which is just people going,
John Goodman.
Yeah, or like during the chase, the driver like keeps going, everyone screams in this movie. HI screams when he's tied to the chair. Everyone is screaming. Yes, the Snotes brothers scream a ton, but like screaming for bizarre comedic effect. It's something the Coens love. I think is just like screaming, which I do too. Apparently, it's very funny.
Look, we joke about our friend Jonah and screaming "Shut up" at the Ready to Rumble trailer. And I understood why, because that was annoying screaming, but there can be funny screaming, and this was making me laugh on the plane when Goodman crawls his way out of that hole and just won't stop screaming.
But even when they keep leaving Nathan Jr. behind in the car and they keep screaming, in the point where they scream all the way back to him when they're driving. But yeah, the guy who the son, you got a panty on your head guy who he like when he's running from the cops and takes his truck, that guy's scream kills me. Like, like, also the cops nonstop shooting their gun at them in the grocery store and everything. So there's a huge satirical element to this movie. You see it right out of the gate in like the parole board and the type of caricature of sort of these sweet dimwits, right? Like the movie is just sort of populated.
Ernest.
Yeah, like even what's the I can't remember the first is Nathan Arizona Sr. His name's Nathan Arizona, obviously, played by Trey Wilson. Like on the surface, he is a bombastic snake oil salesman just trying to get you to buy his furniture, but like at the end, he's an absolute sweetheart. So everyone's heart here, maybe aside from Glenn, is pretty great.
Probably shouldn't wave the gun around his baby, but
yeah, well,
means well.
And this movie also has an 11-minute pre-credit sequence before that's playing the banjo music the whole time, but before it, the title pops up on the screen. So the music is great. It's this
Carter Burwell we mentioned, who scored California, but has scored pretty much all of the Coen Brothers movies, doing a great that main theme
and the yodeling and then but then also pre Die Hard going into Beethoven's Ninth.
I thought about that too, which is also because both those movies are 20th Century Fox, now Disney. This was ahead of the game, 1 year ahead of the game on using that classical music. But yeah, and it's and we should mention, we're kind of mentioning the Coen crew. Barry Sonnenfeld, when he was their DP for all the early movies before he became a successful director in his own right with Men in Black and Addams Family, he is the DP on this, and this movie looks great as well.
And this movie was, a modest hit at the box office. It was made for little, and it made, around 30 million, which was great.
And I think that this movie was definitely seen as success. And like I said, I think it, not that it was the only thing putting all these people on the map because they were all working, but it was a great, you should take notice of all the major players here. These directors and both the leads, things are happening for them, and more things are happening for them this year with those two leads. But it was a great signpost for them. Because
I guess I have a guesstimate of the age, the average age range of the people who listen to the podcast. Maybe our age, maybe a little younger than us, maybe like 10 years younger than us or so on, maybe even younger than that, perhaps. I always wonder with someone like Nicolas Cage, who has sort of become the butt of a joke, an unnecessary joke in the past. We might already mentioned his past decade of movies. There have been hits here and there, but there have been a lot of other just like cash-ins, right? And
because he's so easy to meme, because he goes big, and that's for easy to make fun of.
His 90s action movie past, right?
Yeah.
But pre-National Treasure action movie Nicolas Cage. Like if you don't know, like the big four, which would be Con Air, The Rock, Face Off, and Gone in 60 Seconds.
Right.
And then even before that, his Oscar turn in Leaving Las Vegas that got him an Academy Award, or something like this, his early quirky, because even even in Peggy Sue Got Married, he's doing a bit.
Oh, that voice he did.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
It was a choice. He makes these huge choices. Yeah.
To see him in something like this, which is like, I love H.I. McDonough. I love him in this. I love that he doesn't go over the top in this, except to say, as the pressure mounts on high and the movie goes on, he becomes increasingly twitchy and contorted, and his eye squints more. You know, like there's a part where he walks into his trailer home to confront the Snoats who are stealing Nathan, and like he just looks like he's already been injured. He's like, you know, but yeah, like he's just a sweet summer child in this who just wants to rob convenience stores with no ammo, repeat offender, as they say. And obviously this movie reminds me every time I see it how much I quoted from it. I used to quote, "You ate sand." I used to quote every single line in this movie, you know, maybe 90% of the lines in this movie to no effect. Like, why would I, as a child, say government sure do take a bite, don't she? Like, why would I say that? But I did,
because it's very memorable. It's lyrical. We've used the term, you know, like fairy tale, like for other movies, but it does have a fairy tale type thing, especially with his narration, telling it all as like a tale from the past. But then the lyrical thing, the way everyone speaks, the way it's presented, the way him and Ed's romance begins, and the fact that she's like a cop who books him, that they keep flirting. It all gives it this sort of like, you know, really nice like vibe to it. And it makes it very quotable because these lines that are, you know, they're not naturalistic, but they're said in a naturalistic way.
No, they're not. The dialogue is very purposeful and mannered, but it still works for the movie.
No, it works great.
Like, no, sir, that's one bonehead name. Like, I said everything. It's ridiculous how much I said out of this movie. Especially the Yoda's and shit line. Like,
Yoda's and shit is a go-to. And I was chuckling. I did anticipatory laugh, Matt, sitting with my earbuds in on the plane. I was like, he's going to say Yoda's and shit. They got Yoda's and shit. And then I laughed more when he said it.
I also laugh when he says, "No one sleeps naked in this house, boy." He's just talking about his babies, but he's like, he takes such offense to it. All right. So yeah, we mentioned this 11-minute opening. It's playing basically the theme the whole time, the Carter Burwell theme. It goes from the yodeling to the Ode to Joy and back again. Takes you through him going into the prison, in and out, meeting Edwina McDonough, or that's her married name. I don't know what her name was before that, but yeah. And just like the sweet courtship between them. It's almost a montage, not quite. But yeah, it basically takes you up to the premise of the movie. Like, hey, we can't have children. We're going to steal one of the Arizona quints, right? Mm-hmm. And so that when the credits drop and you get into the movie, he's in the bedroom. Like he's already about to steal a baby. And
right.
And we briefly meet John Goodman and William Forsythe, the Snoats brothers, in the prison therapy session at the beginning.
And Forsythe is not like, he never became a household name, although he's been in other notable things. But Goodman had worked and had been the lead in True Stories, and he was, you know, of course, the evil coach in Revenge of the Nerds. But he's a year away from Roseanne making him a star. So again, I didn't know who he was when I saw this movie.
No, I didn't either. And he would also, you know, he'd go on to work with the Coens a bunch. And
he became a Coen player.
Yeah.
Like notably him, you know,
Fink,
Nicolas Cage and the Coens not getting along, while unfortunate, not too surprising, simply because they never worked together again. But Goodman is definitely a part of the clique.
I do wonder why Holly Hunter never. Oh, well, she was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah, and she
because she did a voice part in Blood Simple, so she had worked with them previously, like not live acting, but yeah,
they were like, there was this whole group that were friends, kind of coming up together, of the Coens, Frances McDormand, who's married to Joel Coen, has been forever, Holly Hunter, and then Sam Raimi, and Bruce Campbell. They all knew each other. They were all friends. That's why Holly Hunter could have played Bobby Joe in Evil Dead 2. That nearly happened. They all knew each other. There was at one point I think they all lived together. There's like some story about when they all shared a house together. So this was like right.
Well, now I wish Holly Hunter was in more of their things.
Right?
Like, why wasn't she in Sam Raimi things?
I don't know. Although I will mention, there is a shot that like is so Evil Dead 2 or Evil Dead in general, which is the tracking shot into the window of Mrs. Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, there's a ton of those things, like not just the chase through the house, you know, when he's running from the cops in the middle of the movie, but also like just the overhead shot of them running out of the car from the grenade at the end, you know, that type of thing. But yeah, once and then they directly up the ladder.
Hudsucker Proxy Raimi wrote with them. So yeah, there's like a whole background. There's a whole background here.
I really like Hudsucker Proxy, even though it was a big bomb. But
me too.
So yeah, for the Coens, for me, like the sweet spot. And I'm saying like I like movies since then because I really like Oh Brother Where Art Thou. But the sweet spot was really like this Barton Fink. I'm trying to think of the run they had. It was this Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink, and what was before? What was right before Big Lebowski? Yeah, I think that was it. Oh, because Fargo. So it was this. Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink, Hudsucker Proxy, and Fargo was the big run for me. I really liked Oh Brother Where Art Thou, which is after Big Lebowski.
Yep.
And then like Intolerable Cruelty and Lady Killers, and everything was fine after that.
Well, the ones you mentioned also were like critically like there was a kind of like, hey, we know these guys can do better, you know.
That's the thing is because I've seen them do better.
Right.
I want them to do better. And I know that was No Country for Old Men for many people. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But yeah. I also haven't seen Inside and Llewellyn Davis, which I want to see.
I have not seen that either, nor have I seen Hail Caesar. I really like True Grit. And I actually quite enjoyed Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Which
I like True Grit too. I didn't see Scruggs. Mm-hmm. But now, yeah, it's funny that their last two movies are streaming. The Tragedy of Macbeth isn't notably the Coen Brothers. It's just Joel Coen. But yeah, between that and Buster Scruggs, they haven't made a theatrical movie since 2016. Mm-hmm. I think Macbeth was in limited theaters.
Yeah, well, I saw it in the theater. Actually, I saw Buster Scruggs in the theater too, because in LA you can find these.
Yeah. But you know, elsewhere's not so much. All right, let's get back to the movie. Yeah, I do like him, you know, the scene when he's like test driving the babies by like picking them up and like figuring out which one feels the best in his arms, I guess. And he's also nervous. And then comedically, they're sort of like scattering. Like
it operates on its own logic because at a certain point you're like, don't take all the babies out, man. But then you know, again, it's all fine because it's all funny and operates at the movie's level because like even when the baby jumps on his back, I'm like, that baby couldn't crawl out of that, you know.
No, but you know, at the end of the movie, he's the one crawling under the car and getting pulled out, and so it sort of comes full circle with him being the baby in front of the biker of the apocalypse. Mm-hmm. There's an element of nostalgia for this movie too, because I didn't see my dad a lot growing up, and so he was visiting New York, and we saw this movie together, and he really liked it. And so I think there's also that part of it where it's like, hey, this was also a good time seeing a movie with my dad that he also enjoyed, which is not usually the case with us. But it's also a good movie. It helps with that too.
I saw this movie with my lifelong friend Maya Kelly, who you know, Matt, and it was funny, just a total coincidence that I was talking to her husband Brian recently, and they had just rewatched this movie. And I said, I saw that movie in the theater with Maya, and he's like, she mentioned that, and I was glad we all agreed it's still good, having rewatched it again.
Yeah, Maya's dad yelled at me. Remember that? No, you weren't there. You weren't there. But
I remember hearing about it.
All right. So, and then briefly we see M. Emmett Walsh. Well, this is actually before all of that, but yeah, there are people who pop up here and there. Because even Frances McDormand is in this movie later on too.
And besides being married to Joel Coen, she was the lead in Blood Simple.
Yeah.
But
she's been with him since the beginning. Yeah.
But in this, she's just in one. She's in this movie less than Sam McMurray playing her husband. Is the funny thing.
So Sam McMurray, I knew at the time because of the Tracy Ullman show.
Mm-hmm.
Was this pre Tracy Ullman?
This would have been almost simultaneous, the same year.
Yeah. Him and Dan Castellaneta, if that's how you say his last name, were on that show. It's the Tracy Ullman show. It's the Tracy Ullman show. Remember that? Remember the promos for that show?
I sort of do. Yes.
It's Tracy Ullman show. Man, promos used to be annoying. So yeah, he's testing him out, and so right away, okay, the premise of this movie is not great, and so you really have to have a sweetheart at the center of this to pull off a kidnapping a baby story.
Yeah.
In any other hands, or I mean, just outright as a sentence, it is a dark premise. You know, we're stealing someone else's child. This is a nightmare for any parent in the entire world, but they're going to do it sillily, like ridiculously, and the grieving parents are also going to be portrayed ridiculously. So everyone's cartoon, and I don't mean that in the like dismissive way. It's like, you know, that's the logic of the movie. Yeah, but you're never going to feel overtly bad because this is the type of movie where you also feel like things are going to work out in its own logical way. And in the movie's own version of logic, things are going to work out. No one's going to leave this movie grieving. So yeah, the babies are now.
Although a character will blow up, but it'll be a character that deserves it.
And also it's a character that, yeah, he meets with Nathan Arizona halfway through and says he's a bounty hunter, but he's also sort of like a projection.
Yes.
Like to the point where, you know, the movie posits that perhaps H.I. summoned him, or he's the manifestation of this dark decision. And it's treated as such by, you know, he has the sort of the dual Woody Woodpecker tattoo, where it makes you wonder if he's a dark version of High, or if he is High's brother he never knew about, and somehow they have tattoos because he was sold on the black market as a baby. You don't know. This character is given sort of the 80s Mad Max presentation of the with the way he's dressed and the bike and stuff like that, and but in a way, because there's Zucker brother elements to this movie too that still work. They're not totally disparate, where, you know, he grenades a bunny and shoots a lizard and stuff like that. But yeah, when they were conceiving this character, it was played by Randall Tex Cobb, who we've seen in other things throughout the years.
Not as much as I thought, but there was a concentrated time.
There was a concentrated time, and he's a very memorable looking dude.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, he like his IMDb isn't like vast and deep, but he was in quite a few action movies and
comedies of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. So if you saw Citizens on Patrol or Digstown, or, you know,
Naked Gun 33 1/3.
Very memorable in a bad Fletch movie called Fletch Lives. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, he does get blown up, but like, was he real? Who knows?
And that character also is interesting. Leonard Smalls, because yeah, he's operating at this operatic level. Again, nothing is quote unquote realistic in this movie, but he is at this crazy bigger than life level. But he's like a supervillain, and he is in this cartoon universe dangerous and evil. So he's almost like the silly prototype version of Anton Sugar from No Country for Old Men. It's like,
yeah. You know, he's tracking him. He's like, just a few steps behind.
Dangerous tracker. Yeah, like bigger than life. It's just that he's operating at the Raising Arizona level of just, you know, lunacy. But fits right in with it.
And just the dialogue, we've mentioned this already, but just the fact that there are certain things that get said, like, you know, to comedic effect, like repeated, like, Nate, you know, which one did they take? Nate, like, High is like, which one did you get? It's like Nathan Jr., I think. And then when they asked Nathan Sr., which one did they take? It's like Nathan Jr., I think.
Right.
Things just work really well. There's the scene where the police are talking to Nathan Sr., we already mentioned. It's like, he's wearing his damn jammies, Yodas and shit. It's all amazing. All well done. The timeline of this movie only takes place over like 2 days, because they get that
11 minutes prologue is the longest extended.
It is, because they get Nathan Jr. back to the house, and they're so happy and proud, and that's when the Snoats break out, tunnel out screaming from the prison, and pay a visit to Hi and Ed, and just sort of upends their life, and they never really get settled. And there's a funny element here to how accelerated, like the trope is the husband, the breadwinner, the father starts feeling the shackles, right? The old ball and chain, the pressures of family life. And for HI, it's so accelerated where it's like within like a half a day, he's already like, I'm feeling like this is too much. And he just got the baby the night before, because it's such like a story in a tight constricted story in a bottle that everything is rushed, but amazingly so. So yeah, Goodman and Forsyth are really funny as these two. Again, kind of like HI, they are no good nicks. They're outlaws, but they also have sort of this eloquent hayseed speak that they do.
Although they're also sloppy and dirty, and I don't like watching William Forsythe eat cereal with the milk spilling out.
Or like I don't mind that as much as I'm bothered by him smoking while eating cereal. Like, John Goodman smoking and eating cereal seems grosser to me. But yeah,
their escape is, like I said, such a great moment. And it's he's like pre-Shawshank in there, the screaming in the rain that he tumbled his way out. The rain.
Yeah. Well, so pre-Shawshank that they even style themselves to look like, because they're like using pomade in the gas station bathroom,
disgusting way
to like basically be like 50s greasers. So, but and there's also a throwback element here too, because even like at the end when Hi is imagining like a future, it's the Ozzie and Harriet, which he says, well, we ain't Ozzie and Harriet. Well, like the future he imagines seems very much like a throwback to like early 60s, 50s sitcom culture of what a family is supposed to look like. And so, yeah, they're upended at this point where they don't get a minute alone with the baby. The closest they get is like the family photo. And then they go to sleep and he has a dream of the biker. And then they show up, basically you do understand that like sort of karmically, like their decision is calling these catastrophes upon their head, because if it's not the Snotes and it's not Leonard Smalls, it's also Glenn and Dot, who,
and then with everything that happens, we'll talk about the trying to steal the Huggy sequence. But but
it's kind of like because even the Glenn and Dot's kids, again, we're talking about the Zucker brothers.
Oh my God. Hysterically awful children. Just look, I have used the gif of that kid drawing fart. That made me laugh so much in 1987. And
I also like how he like throws the peanuts at him.
But I forgot about him throwing the peanuts. That kid's expression as he writes fart on the wall. But I forgot that like the kids are just all awful, just screaming, yelling, destroying the house.
But like within seconds, cut to them destroying his car. They're just like, and another quote, obviously, mind you don't cut yourself, Mordecai, like is huge. And it's a callback. It's so funny because like Dot mentions, I always wanted biblical names, and she rattles off a couple acceptable ones, but then we learned that one of the kids is named Mordecai. So
one of them, she says Jason, I believe, and then she says Mordecai. On account of something being wrong with my semen. That's another great line.
Can't tell Polish jokes correctly. So the joke in itself is that he's too dumb to tell the Polish joke. Everyone's great.
And Hi, again, like it's like the fact that he's like you said, the elevated idiot, and like, even in the, he doesn't find anything funny about the Polish jokes or the people around him. He's friendly to these people, but it's like, he's just, he does seem to have like this wisdom about him as well.
Yeah, he's a grounded soul who did want a family. He did love, like we never doubted that he loved his winner or a family or anything like that. Hold on a second. Getting a call.
Little musical interlude there.
You talk while I message who was calling. Hold on.
Okay. No, I just want to say how great Holly Hunter is in this movie. This would be, again, the first thing I would have seen her in. A few months later, she's in Broadcast News, which is an excellent movie that she is awesome in. I think she got an Oscar nomination for that. Or did
for
she
what?
win? No, or she got a nomination. She won for the piano, right?
The piano, yeah.
Yeah, but she got but the fact that she's just or maybe she, I don't know if she got nominated or not, but what a great year for her with both those movies. But she's so great in this too. She's so funny. They got more than more than they can handle. She has a great moment late in the movie where, again, the fact that the Coens can like mix tone, and again, sometimes they'll do it into sort of kind of amazing effect, like a movie like Fargo, but it's like this movie is mostly a comedy. And then you get like that shot where she is like coming at Leonard Smalls.
Calling him a warthog from hell.
Yeah. And she's so great there. Like the fact that she completely can kind of like dominate, again, a wee person, but dominate the space. Or
well, the two moments that make me cry in this are one when she's crying in the car as they're driving to save Nathan Jr., like the one where she tells Hy that she doesn't think, even if they get Nathan Jr. back, even if they get everything, she doesn't think she wants to stay married to him. And then at the end, obviously, when they return him with Nathan Sr. talking to them, and the music too. So the dream music that's used here for the dream sequences, and then also the end scene in the nursery from Carter Burwell, that's not the banjo yodeling music, is also very memorable. And immediately it springs to mind. Like always,
it reminds me of that piece that was in both Badlands and True Romance. It's got that kind of quality too. Also, Holly Hunter, I laughed so hard on that flight when her I love him so much, like when she's first holding the baby, it just starts like bursting out.
There's nothing in this movie that makes you hate these two for doing this deplorable act, but like there's absolutely nothing, because they're such goddamn sweethearts. And then we mentioned the elevated idiots, because she takes a part of that, and then also like she realizes they're no good for each other because they're both unrealistic and selfish. So but like the moment when Evel, who's William Forsythe's character, is like, I need to take the baby into town, and he's like, what's he need, his dip tet? Like for some reason he knows the baby shots. So but
he's not an anti-vaxxer. He's got that.
No, he knows all the stuff. So Glenn and Dot apparently are also the funny element here, is that they're in the lifestyle. So they're swingers. He mentions wife swapping. There were parts of this movie I do remember because I remember seeing it in the theater. I remember the experience. I remember the moments I didn't get. So when she drove up crying, said I'm barren, I didn't know what that meant as a kid. Right. Like I figured it out via context, but that phrase, I didn't know what it meant. Wife swapping, I had to figure out a little bit. And, again, we're all great at context clues pre-internet.
Sure.
We can get it. But, so then everything starts crashing down on them, because him attacking Glenn lays Clayton to the baby. Then the Snows take the baby. So now they have to basically save Nathan Jr. from their circle of sort of repugnant friends, I guess.
Well, the funny joke being that everyone falls in love with Nathan Jr., including the Snows, including the Snows who think they can profit off the baby when they realize it's been stolen and someone wants to pay for it. And
then it happens as quickly as Holly Hunter crying and saying,
right, they love him so much too. Yeah.
It's that fast. Right. So let's talk about the Steal and the Huggy scene, which is this amazing midway chase.
So good.
A lot of memorable, silly chases from our youth. Ferris Bueller. Or that's more of a race at the end of that movie, but
although that was just a year before this, and there is a similar quality, but then this just escalating it with the violence, with all the gunfire, which again plays a little different now, but is still funny as hell. I think.
Just like the two cars going down the road and the cop out of the window, just bang, 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 bang.
Oh, and then the fact that the goddamn clerk will not stop chasing them too. Is the brace-faced clerk is joins in on the chasing, and then the guy at the grocery store pulls his gun.
I mean, look, we grew up and watched amazing chase and fight sequences, Jackie Chan stuff and things that everything's escalated, but this still from 1987 can hold its head super high. It blew me out of the water when I saw it as a little kid.
Oh yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. It's still great today. It's still funny as fuck. And the driver who's nonstop screaming,
the dogs
going through the apartment. The throwing the Huggies into the cop who gets hit by the cart, the woman pushing it, being chased by the dogs
while screaming.
Everyone's screaming.
There's a lot of screaming. And yeah, that and like the punchline is him picking up the Huggies, like telling her how to turn. He knows exactly where he dropped them, and even though he ran through so many different buildings to grab the Huggies, he doesn't get the money back, but he gets the Huggies back.
And then also not as intricately filmed. It wasn't as huge a set piece, but the fight that he has with Gale Snotes in John Goodman's character inside the trailer home, like accidentally dragging his knuckles on the popcorn ceiling and screaming, pulling at each other's faces, hitting each other with like a ruler. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, and then one of them, I think it's Goodman, draws back to punch, but it's such a cramped quarters that his elbow goes through the wall.
Yep. And then he also misses his punch forward and goes through. Yeah.
There's two great, very physical comedic fights. The other is the one that High has with Leonard Smalls near the end, although that one is played a little more serious just because High is getting the shit beaten out of him in a much sort of like grimmer way. As far as the movie is, on the movie's level, it's grimmer. But both those fights are great.
And I should say that like High's two dream sequences, because High dreams of this character, this biker, which sort of lends credence to the effect that he maybe manifested this, evil himself. Because that was true, that allows us to also believe that his dreams at the end are true. Mm-hmm. And so like when it's closing the book on all of this, it's like, well, he just dreams they return to prison and turn themselves in. Does that happen? Well, because we believe his dreams are true, as set up earlier in the movie, we can believe that this is actually what happened, and his future premonitions are what is going to happen. So it allows us to close it sweetly too, which means that he and Ed do stay together, right? Like it's not explicitly stated so, but it gives us a mechanism for believing it's true.
Right, and like you said, because Nathan Sr. Has his own like sweet words of wisdom at the end, telling him to sleep on it, and giving advice to the people who stole his kid that they should stay together.
Well, and that's a sweet scene. Obviously, he doesn't turn them in, but it's funny because, like I said, on the surface, you would think that Nathan Arizona can just be another sort of despicable character that would show up in a movie like this. Mm-hmm. The fact that his wife is comically played as so prim and proper, I don't know how long it was after she gave birth to 5 children, but she's sitting there they're in their living room, and she's just sitting there very prim and properly reading Dr. Spock's book. Back in the 80s, that was the book of like child rearing and so forth. So for those who don't know, Dr. Spock, not Mr. Spock, Dr. Spock wrote a very famous book on childcare.
Very funny when he says, I brought the instruction manual or whatever. He brought the instructions when he takes the baby and takes. But
it's like it plays off our own presumptions that he's an obnoxious blowhard, and that she probably is repressed and too buttoned up and like maybe like unhappy. But like the way he expresses his absolute adoration and love for his wife at the end is so amazing, mm-hmm. and it undoes any sort of weird bias that we may have put on the relationship. And that's what I love about it. Okay. So then we get the bank scene, the Snotes with Nathan Jr. instantly falling in love with the baby, but also constantly leaving the baby either on the side of the road or on the roof, but in a way
miraculously that the baby has never heard. It just somehow floats down to the,
which brings me, and I may instantly change my mind, but one of my favorite lines, and it might be my absolute favorite line of this movie, because it makes me crack up every time, is when he's getting the diapers in the store for Nathan Jr., and he asks if the balloons, he's like, do those flow up into funny shapes? And the clerk's like, not unless round is funny. I die and it's the delivery too. Like the way that guy says it is fucking amazing. And but then it's even repeated in the car because Gail's like, do they blow up in funny shapes? And Evel's like, nope, just circular. I don't know when was Ernest, Eric? When did Jim Varney start earnesting up the joint? Because was there any sort of influence one way or the other of the world of Ernest that ruled the 80s?
Ernest already was a well-established commercial character in commercials. This same year, Ernest Goes to Camp opened. So in fact, Ernest Goes to Camp opened 2 months after Raising Arizona.
Because I feel like there's a little, I don't know which way it is, but there's a little Ernest bleed over a tiny bit.
Something in the air, something going on.
Something in the air. There's just an Ernest aura. Let's just say the 80s had a real Ernest vibe. You know what I'm saying? Sure.
Yeah.
And then
you know what I mean, Vern? That's
exactly. I did know what he meant.
Yes.
Okay. And then the bank, and then the same sort of like sweet sardonic nature of the convenience store or the gas station clerk is the same weird logical hayseed humor that they meet in the bank. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. Yeah,
it's almost like running into the same person, you know?
Right. The congenial, like, yeah, they're like, we're trying to do what you're asking us to do. You know,
they're just very literal. They're not emotional at all. They're not screaming. Like they're the only ones not screaming in these movies, where they're just calm, collected, and they're like, well, that didn't make sense, so I'm going to explain to you why it didn't.
Again, a great idiot moment of them wondering where the clerks disappeared to because they all got on the ground.
Eric, would you say this is a good movie?
I would say it's a really good movie. You know what else this movie introduced me to? I believe it's used so much in fiction, but I think this is the first time I'd seen it, is the blue dye canister.
Yep. I didn't know what it was when I saw the movie. I didn't know what
I was so confused. Yeah. The first time I saw the movie, I was like, what? Like, I think I thought the movie was truly operating at a cartoon level, because I understand you see her put the thing in and click it, but because I had no understanding of what that was, when blue shit just exploded, it might as well have been just like Looney Tunes, or Slime on Nickelodeon.
I do remember not being hip to what that was when I watched it.
Right.
Okay, but again, the eloquent idiot, right? So it's like he tells him all to lay on the ground and count to 1,000, or count something like lay on the ground for 10 minutes. And like Gail on the way out, it's like, anyone found bipedal in 5? Where's his ass for a hat? Yeehaw! You know, like, so they know like literally the word biped. So then we get into the Leonard Smalls of it all, because he drives up right as Nathan Jr. is left on the road for the second time. Ed and High show up, but so does Leonard Smalls, and he takes him, and there's a big showdown. Really fun. Again, this movie is was storyboarded in such a way that the action scenes just really pop because they didn't film things with multiple cameras. They just knew what they wanted, and really fun. He's got a swinging chain. He's throwing daggers. There's that thematic tie-in of the Woody Woodpecker tattoo that means nothing but also means everything at the same time. And even the "I'm sorry" when he pulls the pin out of the grenade.
I was going to mention the "I'm sorry," which is like one of those great moments, because Leonard Smalls is just nothing but he's like the devil incarnate, but he still gets this moment of like sympathy from him.
I think it plays on that level, and I also think it plays on. I think it's like, I'm sorry for this person. Yeah, exactly. I think it's also like, I am sorry to myself. I'm forgiving myself, but I'm also sorry I'm killing off a part of myself. The part that I unleashed here. This was my dark decision, and this is sort of my dark decision made flesh in front of me. So I'm sorry, and it's sort of a repentant moment. And then, the returning of the baby and that amazing Nathan Singer scene in the nursery that I really love, leading into the dream sequence ending. That just an amazing movie. My favorite Coen Brothers movie. And and
yeah.
I wish they'd get back to making some groovy tunes like they used to. But you know what? Like I'm of the mind that if you get a string of movies, just because Rob Reiner never had another hit you can't deny like the 6 years he was on fire, right? You know what I mean? Like as like these filmmakers, or did I say Ron Howard or Rob Reiner? I feel
you
like
said Rob Reiner,
but I feel like it applies to both. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I feel like both of them had like almost a decade of just nonstop, like knock it out of the park hits. And like you get that in your career and then you write your own ticket. So especially if you're a white dude.
Yeah, this is a fantastic film that, I'd seen a million times, but hadn't seen it in a long time. And yeah, completely still a pleasure to watch. And I think I've liked some of their recent stuff a little more than you, but I still think, this is their second movie. So it's not like I'm like, and that was it. They peaked because they still made so much great stuff after. And obviously they were going to have so many huge lauded things in years to come after. But this one is like, it's sort of pure Coen to me, and a movie that now that I've revisited it, finally, it's like I feel like now I want to watch it a million times. I don't think Trisha's ever seen it, so now I want to have her watch it.
I'd like to know what she thinks of it and see if she's on because it's a particular level of humor that you may some people who are not us might find all the screaming absolutely annoying. I think this is screaming done well to comedic effect, but it's also one of those things where I think I could say they peaked here, I guess, because I think it's their best movie. But that's not to say that they didn't make other great movies after this. Obviously, Fargo may be my second favorite of theirs. But like everything they did, and to their credit, is often so different from what came right before it. Like, because right from here, they went to noir, right? Like Miller's Crossing. They did like weird throwback His Girl Friday, period piece with a comedy with Hudsucker Proxy, and what would you call even Barton Fink, right? Like that was another period piece, but like sort of an off-kilter noir comedy, I guess. But everything was different. Everything was always different to their credit.
To the point that like Hudsucker Proxy, I think at the time maybe was disappointing some critics who, because it was coming off of a couple of kind of higher minded movies of Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink, and Hudsucker Proxy was going much more back into the silly, and it's not as successful as Raising Arizona doing that, but I still think it's really good.
And the funny thing is that it's the most Raising Arizona movie since Raising Arizona, and there's also almost another surreal, otherworldly villain or like manifestation of evil in Hudsucker Proxy too. So like that's not as prominent as Leonard Smalls, but they're toying around with that idea again.
Yep.
All right.
Good.
That was I know we talked a lot about Coen Brothers and not a lot about Nicolas Cage, even though this is a Nic Cage-A-Thon.
No, but it's a good point. But like I said, this is the movie. When I look back, I'd already seen him in Peggy Sue. I had not seen Valley Girl. Valley Girl was kind of very late to, especially for like an 80s teen comedy. I was watching them all, though I wasn't a teen yet. But Valley Girl I wouldn't see for many years. But I'd seen him in Peggy Sue. But this is the movie that made an impression on me for him because he is so perfectly cast in it, and just playing this off-kilter guy who, again, like has to embody such a specific thing. Like you were saying up top, it's like that his character isn't even dim-witted. It's just like the poet laureate of like trailer parks, like just like the level he's operating at. And Cage sort of like just carries that so well, and the sort of like a Nicolas Cage's sad eyes works so well, like the sort of like the hangdog expression he has in this for a guy who is trying to do the right thing, even though, like you said, the movie's innate premise is doing a terrible thing. But him and Hunter are so good at playing these characters that you still like a lot, even though you, in different hands of both directors and actors, you could just like be like, these are shitty people, but instead you're like, I get it, because of the level that they are all operating at. So for me, it was I say first impression from Nicolas Cage, not technically true, but what I remembered him from after this.
I get you. I get what you're saying. Because he did things before this, and but this is when he was about to strike gold with Moonstruck in the biggest way. I guess this was just his big year anyway. So 87, and then pretty soon after this, he would be in a David Lynch movie, and then Honeymoon in Vegas came earlier than I thought. It wouldn't be until almost a decade later he would work steadily. A lot of sort of mediocre comedies that you expect. This was a comedy for all intents and purposes. Moonstruck is a comedy, so like that was sort of his meal ticket. But then he would get he did do some dramas, and we'll get to that. But also he would become a huge action star right as in the mid 90s. Right. Sort of like came out of nowhere, and
which very surprising.
Breathed a whole new life into his career in a different way. So
very surprising, because we talked about how Kurt Russell is sort of like a effortlessly goes back and forth like drama, action, comedy. Because I think Kurt Russell has this everyman thing. Nicolas Cage does not have an everyman thing because he's so innately quirky and strange. And so for the first decade of his career, he's like doing comedies and weird indie movies. So the fact that he would become the star of several major big studio action movies was not something I think anyone. It's sort of the same way that we didn't see like Johnny Depp's like moment has like a star of like tent poles happening. They're just
I mean, but he was somebody who never had, he was the one who, when he tried to play it straight, nobody liked. Like, so he kept it quirky and just sort of wound up striking oil, but eventually. So because Captain Jack Sparrow, like he's, Johnny Depp when he's playing it straight is pretty boring. He's not the greatest as like just the absolute straight
as Nick of Time Johnny Depp,
or even like, I guess, Nick of Time Johnny Depp was a good example of that. But like even he was even less quirky in something like Sleepy Hollow, where he was quirky but not, he was still playing. He had to give him some eccentricity, but he was kind of playing it straight. All right, let's wrap this up here. And once again, profess our love for Raising Arizona, a movie we adore to no end.
Make a theme park ride, Disneyland. You have the power.
Oh yeah. Okay. Hey, what is it? The Huggies Run?
Yeah, the Huggies Run.
All right. I did that in 12 parsecs.
It's like it'd be like Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, that would be amazing. All right. Until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma.
Shakma!